Essay number 30. Signs the only problem with your life is the way you think about it. Let me tell you something that might be hard to hear. Your life might actually be fine, better than fine even. The problem might not be your circumstances, your job, your relationships, or your bank account. The problem might be entirely in your head. And I mean that literally. The way you're thinking about your life might be the only thing that's actually wrong with it. I know that sounds dismissive. I know you want me to validate that things are genuinely hard, that your struggles are real, that you have legitimate reasons to be unhappy. And maybe you do. But before we go there, let's look at some signs that the problem isn't your life. It's your lens. First sign, you spend more time thinking about your life than actually living it. You're constantly analyzing, dissecting, evaluating. You spend hours mentally reviewing conversations, planning hypothetical scenarios, imagining different outcomes. You think about what you should have said, what you might do, what could happen. Meanwhile, actual life is happening around you, and you're missing it because you're too busy thinking about it. You've replaced experience with reflection. You've substituted analysis for action. You spend more time figuring out what your problems mean than actually solving them. You daydream extensively about the life you want, but never ask yourself what those fantasies are telling you about what's missing from your actual life. You know the solutions, they're probably obvious, but instead of committing to them, you keep thinking about them, as if thinking hard enough will somehow make the doing unnecessary. Here's another sign. You've lost the ability to find wonder in simple things. Remember when you were a kid and a cardboard box could be a spaceship? When jumping in puddles was an adventure? When a sunny day was enough to make you happy? Now nature bores you. Play seems childish. There's nothing magical about morning light or a good book or a stranger's smile. But here's the thing. The magic didn't go anywhere. You just stopped seeing it. You decided that adult life meant being serious, being productive, being focused on important things. You trained yourself to overlook the small beauties in favor of big achievements. And now you wonder why everything feels gray and meaningless. Look at what you have right now. Is there something in your life that you desperately wanted in the past? A job you worked years to get? A relationship you thought would complete you? A goal you achieved? But now that you have it, it doesn't feel the way you thought it would. The satisfaction was temporary, the happiness wore off, and instead of appreciating what you have, you've just transferred your desire to something else, something new, something that will surely make you happy this time. If you could go back and tell your younger self about your current life, they would be in absolute disbelief. Not because your life is perfect, but because you survived things they thought would destroy you. You achieved things they thought were impossible. You have things they desperately wanted. That younger version of you would be amazed at where you are now, but current you can't see it because you're too focused on what's still missing. Think about how you relate to money. Do you think of it as obligation or opportunity? When you pay your bills, is your thought, I have to pay rent, or I get to live in a home? Is it, I have to buy groceries, or I get to eat? If you see money only as something being taken from you rather than something that provides for you, you'll never feel like you have enough, no matter how much you earn. You think you don't have enough friends. But this isn't about quantity, it's about quality. You're measuring connection by the number of people around you rather than the depth of those connections. The problem isn't that you don't have enough friends, it's that you're not bringing enough of yourself to the friendships you have. And with the friends you do have, you're either too clingy or too distant. You either expect them to fix your life and make you happy, getting frustrated when they can't fill that impossible role, or you withdraw because they're not meeting expectations they don't even know you have. You're looking for friends to complete you instead of complement you. Here's a telling sign. You imagine your life as if someone else was watching it. Before you make any decision, you create a narrative in your head. She went to college, got the job, found love after heartbreak, and lived happily ever after. You're living your life like it's a movie being watched by an audience, making choices based on how they'll look in the story rather than how they'll feel in the living. Your goals are all outcomes, not actions. You want to be successful, not do work you find meaningful. You want to be rich, not learn to manage money well. You want to be loved, not learn to love. Outcomes are just ideas floating in space. Actions are what create reality. But you're so focused on destinations that you're not taking any steps. You assume you have time. When it comes to what really matters, calling your parents, starting that project, having that conversation, you think, I'm only 25, 35, 45, I have plenty of time. But using later as your timeline means you don't actually want it as much as you think you do. You could be dead tomorrow. That's not morbid, that's mathematics. There is no later, there's only now pretending to be later. A bad feeling becomes a bad day, becomes a bad week, becomes my life is terrible. You experience one negative emotion and suddenly everything is wrong. But negative emotions aren't signs that your life is broken. They're part of being human. Anxiety keeps you alert. Sadness helps you process loss. Anger shows you boundaries. These aren't enemies to be eliminated. They're messengers to be heard. But you've decided that good feelings mean keep going, and bad feelings mean stop. And then you wonder why you're paralyzed. You think discomfort and fear mean you shouldn't do something. Actually, it's the opposite. Discomfort and fear usually mean you should definitely do it. It's anger and indifference that mean you shouldn't. Fear means it matters. Indifference means it doesn't. But you've got it backwards, avoiding everything that scares you and pursuing things you don't even care about. You wait to feel motivated or inspired before you act. You think successful people are constantly motivated, that creators are always inspired. But motivation is like weather. It comes and goes unpredictably. Inspiration is like lightning, brief and rare. If you wait for either, you'll wait forever. Successful people don't work because they're motivated. They work regardless, and sometimes motivation shows up as a nice surprise. You're lost in maladaptive daydreaming. You create elaborate fantasies of alternative lives while your actual life atrophies from neglect. You imagine yourself as someone else, somewhere else, living a different story. These fantasies feel good, like a drug, and you use them to avoid dealing with reality. You're so busy living in your imagination that you're not living in your life. You're saving your happiness for someday. You see the beautiful sunrise but don't enjoy it because you have emails to check. You feel a moment of joy but shut it down because you think suffering makes you productive. You deny yourself pleasure now because you're saving it for when you've earned it, when you've made it, when you're ready. You've put your happiness in a container marked for later and then wonder why you never feel happy now. Here's what all these signs point to. You're living in your head instead of your life. You're so busy thinking about living that you're not actually doing it. You're so focused on what's wrong that you can't see what's right. You're so obsessed with what's missing that you're missing what's here. Your life, right now as it is, might actually be good. You might have everything you need and most of what you want. You might be safer, more loved, more capable than you realize. The dissatisfaction you feel might not be because your life is lacking, but because your perspective is skewed. Think about it. If you're reading this, you have access to the internet, which means you have access to all of human knowledge. You're literate. You have time to consume content about personal growth. You're not in immediate physical danger. You have the luxury of thinking about your problems rather than just surviving them. Your younger self would be amazed by your current life. People in other circumstances would trade places with you in a heartbeat. Future, you will look back on this time with nostalgia. But current, you can't see any of this because you're too busy thinking about what's wrong. The solution isn't to pretend everything is perfect. It's not to ignore real problems or valid concerns. It's to recognize when the problem is the lens, not the life. It's to understand that how you think about your circumstances has more impact on your happiness than the circumstances themselves. You could change everything about your external life: new job, new city, new relationship, new body. And if you don't change how you think, you'll end up exactly as unhappy as you are now, just in different surroundings. because you'll take your mind with you wherever you go. And if your mind is the problem, changing locations won't solve it. So what do? Start by living more and thinking less. When you catch yourself analyzing your life, stop and actually live it instead. When you notice yourself planning happiness for later, choose it now. When you realize you're imagining how your life looks to others, ask yourself how it feels to you. Stop waiting for motivation and just act. Stop avoiding discomfort and lean into it. Stop measuring your friends and start connecting with them. Stop thinking about money as obligation and start seeing it as opportunity. Stop saving your happiness and start spending it. Most importantly, stop thinking your life needs to be different for you to be happy. Your life is happening right now while you're thinking about it. And the only thing standing between you and satisfaction might just be your insistence that satisfaction requires something other than what you already have. The magic didn't leave your life. You just stopped looking for it. The wonder is still there. You just need to remember how to see it. Your life might already be everything you wanted. You just need to stop thinking long enough to notice. The problem might not be your life at all. The problem might be that you've been so busy thinking about your life that you've forgotten to live it. And that's actually good news, because changing your circumstances is hard. Changing your thinking, that can start right now. Your life is probably better than you think it is. The question is, are you willing to see it?